Substance Painter, don't know how. Here we go. I just started the Substance Painter. I'm using 11.1. The 12th version is out there. When you open it, you will get something like this. I'll just reset the layout. This is how it looks like. This is your 3D view. This is your UV. So before starting Substance Painter, you must know how to unwrap, how to bring your models to the Substance Painter. But that's for later. First, we will start with doing practice with the sample. So, if you go to the files, open the sample, there is it. You going to need meat mat. Okay, open. What you see here, okay, this is the 3D model. It just works like Maya. Alt left click, rotate, alt middle mouse pan, alt right click, zoom in, zoom out. If we start going every single boring stuff all around, we got a whole day for that. I'll just avoid that. I'll just get into the business. So what we're going to do, we'll create a wood with the minimum basic requirement, and slowly we learn with the practice. So these are the basic shader. We don't need that. It has wood here, stylized wood. You just drag and drop, you get it. Wood rough, you get it. And there are more, but we are not going to use that. We are going to create things from scratch, so we learn in deep. So this is your 3D model. This is your UV. Just alt and right click, zoom out. This is UV, and you can see here, if you just go on the top, head, body, base. These are three different. How to split them, it's a matter for later. Let's try to get some texture. So here we go into the layer. You have done Photoshop, that's good. You haven't done, time to learn it. Maybe the Substance Painter. We can start from Substance Painter. Okay, so this is effects. We don't need effects. This is mask. We definitely need it. And this is the paint layer. Yeah, you can just click on paint and start painting. No, we don't do paint. We can't create textures just by painting it, but it will come in handy. And the fourth one is fill layer. Just click on it, a new layer comes in. The color is white. Okay, it just fill everything in the head. Okay, if I just go down, there is a property fill. It has color, metal, rough, normal map, and height. What are these? Color is on, rest is off. So let's start with the color. Color tells color of the layer. If you change it back to the red, it's red. You change it from here, blue, the color you want. Okay, this is our color. Second, there is a metal. Metal is simply a property which tells whether it's metal or not. If I just take the slider to white, it is a metal. If I take the slider back to the black, it's not a metal. It is just the PBR way of working. What is PBR? Physical based rendering. Okay, so my metal is on, I kept it off. Now the third property is roughness. Roughness is what? Roughness tells how the surface is rough or sharp. If the surface is sharp, I'll take it to the black. It will give you a perfect reflection, a sharp reflection. If the surface is rough, you go back to the 1 or the white. It doesn't reflect anything. Okay, as simple as that. Or if it turn on the metalness along with the roughness, you will get a perfect reflection, just like a metal. And if you turn it black, you will get a pure, or the white, not the black, white. You get a pure reflection like a mirror. Isn't it amazing? This is what the environment is. We can change the environment, we can tweak. So I'm moving the environment here. I'm using shift right click to move the light or the environment, and alt left click to move the object. So let's use, I'm going to use a lot, shift right click. Now let's turn off the metal and leave the roughness default 0.3. And after that, color is pure white. I'll just put it back to gray. And after this, there is normal. We are not using normal so quickly, so we'll just leave it off. And then the height tells us about the height, like surface, where the surface is going to be up, where surface is going to be down. So how we can say that? So let's give you some example. Let's take a brush. I'll just go to the brush layer. Now we got the brush, and if you go down in the brush, the height is on and the height is 0. If I put it positive and just paint on it, not here, maybe we can't see the height yet. Okay, I'll just crank up. Now you can see there is a bump. It's not an actual height, it's an illusion of height. If I just crank it down, I will be painting in negative height. Now you see there is a intrude in the mesh, but it is all an illusion which we are painting. It's just like bevel emboss and deboss like a Photoshop. It just works the way, but more in detail. Okay, just on top of the 3D objects. So we will start with the wood. So I'll just go to the internet and search for wood. You will find a lot of wood. You can create this wood, you can create that wood. It's all down to how we see a wood. Okay, if we can see a wood clearly, if we can study it properly, we can create it. Okay, so we are starting with the wood. Here it is. Let's say we are going to create this. So how are we going to study it? We're going to need its base color. Okay, if you look carefully, the color has a variation, a lot of. Like it's gray here, it's bit red here, it's back to the brown here, the same brown here, but it's bit darker here, another darker patch here, a patch here. So there are multiple colors, and then again some patches here. So I'll start with the base color, and then some there is gray and white. So I'll say I'll work on 2-3 variations. So let us start working with it. I'll just keep it aside. It will help me pick the color. Okay, I don't need this UV right now. I'm not going to paint on UV. I will be just using a procedural way, algorithms. Okay, so I'll just press F1. F1 is, and then F2. So F1 is for this layout and F2 is for only 3D view. F1 is for 3D plus 2D view. We'll go back to 3D view, and I'll just have taken the fill layer, and we're just going to use and pick color. Okay, so you can see one color variation here, one is here, and another is here. I'll start with the most seen common color. Okay, a little darker. This will do. So this is my base layer. I'll just take another fill layer. I'll turn on everything on the fill layer. Just make a habit. When you start working on it, turn on everything on the base layer. It will come handy later. Okay, and I start with color only. I turn off all the properties. It will keep my file light. So I just take my base color and I'll move to second. So let's say my second color is this a little brighter tone. Okay, so I can just take a new fill layer, or I can just duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D, and I have to make it a little brighter. I'll just go this way, a little on top. Yes, fine. Now what I need a variation where in Photoshop there is a mask. If I haven't used Photoshop, that's okay. I'll just go it directly. I'll add a mask, add mask, add a white mask. If you add a white mask, everything stay as it is, and if you add a black mask, it will just disappear, nothing will happen. And if you just go back to the white mask, the layer is there. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you take a white mask or the black mask, the mask is mask. You have to pay close attention. This is your shader. You get your, not the shader, your layer property, and this is your mask. When you click on your mask, this is your mask property. It goes white, it goes black. Nothing happening actually. This is for your paint brush. Okay, we are not painting. If you can paint, let's say I am painting here black. If I paint white, it will reappear. It's really hard. So just from here, from material, we switch to mask. You can see I am painting here, but I am painting mask. And if I just go to black, I'm painting black. So wherever I paint black, it will disappear. The color I am using, I'll just take a contrast color, you get a better understanding. See what's happening now. Wherever I paint within the mask, it disappears. The black color. If I paint white, it reappears. This is how the mask works. Okay, we're not going to use any of it. I'll just press Ctrl Z. We are going to use a different strategy. In the mask, we're going to use another fill, a fill and the mask and then fill. Okay, or we can just make it a little simple. From here, from the left, you can go to the textures. Okay, click on texture, you will see a lot of texture. Substance Painter come up with a huge range of textures. Okay, all we need the black and white maps, not the color one. Leave the color one, just go with the black and white maps. If you see the pattern, these are the long patterns. So if I just go down, you can see crystal, you can see directional blur. So these are 4 maps. Actually, you give you a wood like feeling. This is all we need. We need to use these 4 and 5 maps and things will be nice. So I'll start with directional map, noise 4. Drag and drop it right here on top of the mask. It applies and you can see it gives a little bit white and black. So what we are getting, we needed little white, but it's giving more of darker color, more of white, less of darker color. So I'm going to click on the direction noise. If you go down, you will say invert. If I click on to invert, yes, I'm getting little bit of white and little bit of gray. So what do I need? I need this. Okay, then there is a balance. Balance increases overall mask, so it's gone. If I go to the mask layer, I will see what's happening. If I reduce it all goes toward white. If it goes toward white, everything stays here. If it goes to a black, everything will disappear and all the white area will remain. So what I need, we need a little bit of white, so this will work fine. But this texture is too big. I needed a smaller white and longer. So if I just go on top of this, there is a tiling. And there might be something called scale. Both reduce the scale of texture. The texture we applied in the mask. Okay, that might be too much to catch. Just follow me. So what you did, you take a texture from here, you drop it into the mask, and you comes down, invert the color, whether you like it or not, and then you change the balance. If you change the contrast, it gets sharper. And if you change the scale, it gets smaller, just like the texture we need. Okay, but again, we need in length, the longer. So if I use disorder, it just doesn't do that what we want. So to stretch the texture, we have to do some tweaking. Okay, so there is tiling and then there is another tiling which is locked. We set it U and V. One is X and Y direction. Okay, so we just leave the lock. Now we have another tiling. When the lock is on, actually it increases the tiling of both sides. If we remove the lock, it will just increase tiling in one direction. So what's happening if I reduce it? It stretches the texture. And yes, this is what we needed, a stretch white lines. Perfect. Just ignore this, we'll work on here. So this is the stretch white line I was looking for. The same way I'll add a darker lines. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just duplicate it again, Control D, and this time I'll just turn it off and I just go to the directional noise and I'll just click to random. Here it is. It will just change the map. Okay, and just reduce the invert. Now I'm getting that was fine. And I'll just turn the blending mode to multiply. So one layer adding white lines and another layer adding dark line. But these dark lines are bit too much of dark. So we can just reduce the opacity just enough to give us some dark patches. a random dark patches. That should do it. We are getting the variation. That's fine. I'll reduce the opacity for the white lines too. Great. Now let's see, there is some red patch and there is some big gray patches. So we are now switched to working on big patches. So let's say there is a big red patch. Okay. So I'll just create another layer. I'll name it red patch. So I'll just pick the color again. Here we go. More from here. Okay, so it is bit red. Okay, and then we'll add a mask. Let's add a black mask. It's gone, and we can just paint like this. No, we will use another mask. Last time we used directional noise. We'll use something with bigger patch. You can see here, and this. So this one comes up with long black and white lines. And is there more? Let's see, something with bigger lines. Not this. Maybe this. We can use the inverted black lines. This is another wood. We don't need this kind of wood. So I will just use this. Okay, what we need to do, just drop it on top of mask in the red. There we go. What we need to do, we just need to use invert, and there you see, but the direction is wrong. We need it in left to right. No need to worry. Select the grunge map. There is a rotation on top. Just make sure put it 90°. Here we go. You get the red patch, but it's more like a paint. It's not blending in properly. So here it is, the opacity. If we reduce the opacity, or maybe we just need to change the color. Let's try to get more. We have 70% opacity and we are trying to get a little close color, close to what we had. Not too bold, not too contrast, not too eye catchy. Just enough to get some variation. Let's select the grunge map. There is a balance. It will reduce. It increases the patches. I think this is just enough. Just change the lighting. Yes. So slowly we are building up our wood texture. Okay. Here it comes. Now we had it good. Red patches. So there are some darker patches you can see here, but these are more longer lines. A little gray here. So maybe I use this, or let's try this. Let's work with this. Okay. So I'll just duplicate it. Control D. I'll put it back to multiply. Okay. And let's get it back to 100%. Let's change the color enough just to give a little dark. That should do it. A little dark. Okay, and we just tweak the map. This is better, and just reduce the balance. There is a scale, no scale, so we increase the tiling. Maybe we get multiple lines. Let's reduce the balance and let's stretch the texture. Just turn off this lock. This one. Yeah, you're getting it. This is what exactly we were looking for. Some grunge and black lines, not too much of a scale. Don't crash it, please. Okay. Sometime it crashes. It's upon your luck. Let's use offset. Whatever works well. Let's try reducing the opacity as long as it blends. So now we have enough textures blending. Okay. Now the second thing is the dark lines. Now the very important thing, the black lines, the grain. We are not working on it. Now we are getting into from bigger to darker textures. So there are these sharp black lines. So let's look at texture which gives that sharp black lines. So starting from here, there is an anastrophe. It might create something. I will use it. Then let's see what we got here. Direction. This might give us some black lines. And if we go down, this would no. We have to work with them. So there we see this. Okay, direction noise. So again, since we are creating some black lines, I'll just take a dark color. I won't multiply this time because these are solid. It doesn't changes with the background color. So I'll just take a dark bold color, more like a chocolate. Let's use this in the mask. This is what we get once we put them. Let's try increasing contrast. Nope, not the one we were trying to create. Let's increase the titling. It does put some dirt and grain. It gives some more of a old wood. So I'll just use something anastrophe. Just drag and drop here. Now there is anastrophe and directional noise. I'll just remove the direction noise by pressing cross on top of it. Let's try to make it work. Let's increase the tiling. Yeah, not exactly what I want, but little bit of. Let's reduce. We just like to increase a little. Let's break the lock. I'll stop here. Now let's add another grunge, the wood texture. I'll just duplicate it, Control D, and I'll take the red color, a texture. Let's change the color to something a little good to mix, and we'll take this map now. We haven't used it, the one with the noise. This is soft, this is very hard. I'll use the softer one. I'll remove the anastrophe and let's see what it's doing. It's just adding red color. I'll keep it down to the black. I don't want to remove the black layer. Let's use multiply. Yes, I wanted to have some. So you can switch to mask and see how much is it affecting. The white area is visible and the black area is not visible. Basically it's adding too much of texture. I'll just reduce the balance. The noise is still blurred, so maybe we need to increase the tiling to see how it's working. We have a scale to better. The noise and the grain is there. If you can see, there is a lot of grain everywhere. So we need to work on the balance. Grain has to be everywhere. Let's increase the scale 5. 6. Does it go? No, it doesn't go from 5. So we increase tiling. That will do. And let's reduce the opacity. So there is two opacity, almost work as the same. One opacity for your mask, but it works well with multiple masks. For single mask, this will do it. I'll just reduce enough to get some texture blending. This will do for now. So this is what I've created. I only work with color. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So if you just go back to the base layer, if you turn it off, you will understand how much what is affecting. So yes, this is all it's affecting. There might be a chance when you see, if you're turning off the base layer and you don't see the changes, that means whatever you are working on, it's not working. So this is the time when you need to stop. So what I worked on the color. It's not the exact, not the same what we needed, but it is close. Okay. Then the next thing we need to work on height and the roughness. Okay. So I'll just take a top layer for overall roughness, or we can just start from the bottom. So let's start from the bottom. This is my base layer. It has everything. We'll leave it. This is my base wood. It has a roughness. I'll just turn it on. None of the layer is using roughness. Make sure you turn off when you're working with the color, so you have control with roughness. Okay. So I'll start from here. I'll not only work with the roughness, I'll work with the height as well. So this is the base layer. I'll start with this roughness. What kind of wood we want? Is this the polished wood? There is two kind of a wood. One is a raw wood, and another is like plywood and very polished. For the polished wood, you just need one layer of roughness, and it will be more of a polished, like, what is it, 0.2. I just press 1, it's all rough. This is 0.2, 0.2627. Not bad. Or we can play around. I'll leave the base sharp, 0.2, let's say. And slowly as we go up, we'll change roughness to create variation. For example, what is this doing? It is creating a white patches. You can see how much it is affecting. So let's say if we have the base roughness is 0.2, will increase. I'll turn off the roughness and I'll just keep it 0.35. What it will create? When the light passes, you will see there is a variation. If I turn off the roughness, it's flat. But what is this creating? It's creating a variation in your reflection and the roughness. That's all we need to do by going all the way to the top. Okay. So if I just go on the next layer, I'll turn on the roughness. What it was 0.35. I'll just keep it 0.3, not the 5. Come on. I'll take this. Let's check what's happening here. It must be changing some color. Very little, not sure what it is. I'll just take it 0.35. The red patch, it's a very big one. I won't mess with it. Next again, these are some dark colors. So yeah, we can go with the 0.4. So when we put 0.4, you can see it's getting older. Do we need that? 0.4 is too much. We'll go back to 0.32 maybe. This is the max we can do. 2.8 maybe. That's a bit older. Then I think we got enough. These are the grunge. That definitely we need roughness in that. When we put on 0.3 roughness, you see the variation. Now it's slowly getting old and used. This is good. The roughness is not as flat as the base, and that's the black line. If you just turn it off, we can have a hard roughness or not. So if you see raw wood, this is the kind of a plywood or used wood. If you see a raw wood, it has, what do you say, a height, a negative height. I'll just show you this kind of. Okay, so we made a simple wood and we'll just creating a rough wood. So I'll just use it 0.4, the roughness in the black, and the height negative, very little, minus 0.1. It's too much, minus 0.01. Yeah, if you turn off the height, you'll understand how much it matches the changes. Just a little difference, right? Let's do the same with the gain. The green we put, turn on the height and just try 0.01. That's too much of a value. This time we put a positive height, we need negative height, minus 0.01. Okay, now the wood looks a little aged. The light is breaking properly. It's not as sharp as it was. The reference is not like this, but I made it with my experience. This is how you create a wood. You see the color, you don't see a single color, you see multiple variation of colors. There is red, there is green, there is black, there is a straight lines, and you see a good plywood there with the gain, with the cracks a little bit. That's how you create wood. Okay, so I'll stop here. This is all we got. I think the session went a bit longer, but it is for the first timers. Next one is going to be a faster. So make sure all we used fill layer, roughness and height, and we made the wood. Okay, here we go. Thanks for watching. You can see more for the rest.